Every single Pokemon game, well, except Sun and Moon, has their own regional champion, and as the game's strongest trainers, they have a pretty large role to fill. But how do they stack up against each other? Which ones are the most accomplished? So good morning everybody, good morning, it's JPR, and today let's rank every Pokemon champion by their canonical strength. As always with these power scaling videos, I may have to take some creative liberties here and there, and please note that this is not a list of champions based on how hard I think they are to beat in-game. Otherwise, Cynthia would be number 1, and we wouldn't even need to make this video. Also, please note, I will not be considering Red or Elio since we previously tackled them in the protagonist scaling video. But before that, do you know what the most important quality is to become a Pokemon Master? Well, it's the same quality that helps you succeed with anything in life, and that's sleep! Which is why I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Titan. Between you and me, I'm a little bit of an insomniac, although I think part of that problem was the fact that my old mattress was almost as old as I am. So I was absolutely thrilled to receive my queen-size Titan Plus Luxe. This thing is big, it is spacious, it is durable, and removes so much stress on my pressure points when I sleep. And I even got mine with this special cooling cover which helps keep me nice and cool even under all the big sheets. I have had my Titan mattress for a little over a week now, and no joke, it has probably been the best sleep that I have had in years. And I'm not just saying that, Pokemon Sleep can vouch for me. I have been catching some of the craziest Z's since I got this thing. It used to take me almost an hour to fall asleep before, now I probably fall asleep in a quarter of the time. And because of that, I feel so much more energized throughout the day. I don't need a coffee every single morning just to function, which is definitely the biggest difference that I've noticed. I've never really been a morning person, but this mattress is starting to turn me into one. I also just love how easy it was to set this thing up. You take it out of the box, it expands pretty quickly, it's relatively odorless, and you can sleep on it within only a few hours. And it's also worth noting that with your Titan mattress, you get a 120-night sleep trial along with a limited lifetime warranty and free shipping right to your door within the US. That's right, Titan mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their Arizona factory, so they're able to use premium materials without a middleman bringing up the cost. Titan also offers 2 different options, the Titan Plus Luxe, which I have, and their newest mattress, the Titan Elite. So they really have something for everyone. I can't tell you how much I love my Titan mattress, and I think you would too. If you need something supportive that actually holds up, this is it. Be sure to check out TitanMattress.com and use the coupon code JPR to get 30% off your order. Or you can click on the links in the description down below, it would really help the channel out. Thank you Titan for sponsoring, let's get back to the video. Our first tier is the Blip Champions tier. These are the guys who were only champion for a very small period of time. If I was ranking Kieran and Drayton, they would definitely go down here, although I personally don't think the BB League can be considered a legit Pokemon League. I don't care how strong the trainers are. That's like trying to rank your junior varsity football team against the Philadelphia Eagles. It doesn't really work. Blue and Trey certainly belong in this tier, as they only kept their titles of champion for a matter of hours, maybe even only a few minutes. It's weird even calling these 2 champions because they don't really stack up against the others, and even expanded Pokemon media hardly ever puts them in the same classification. Gary Oak never becomes a champion in the anime, in fact he never finishes better than top 16 in either league he competes in. And in the Pokemon Adventures manga, while Blue is almost a 1-to-1 recreation of his game counterpart, he also never becomes champion as he loses to Red in the tournament finals. Not to say that these guys still aren't powerful trainers. Blue rightfully becomes the strongest Kanto gym leader after his moment in the spotlight is over, and Trace, well, I hope we never have to talk about him after this video ever again. Now yes, the Alola games do call Blue a battle legend in his fights at the Battle Tree, a title that is only shared with Red, but I feel like they did this just to highlight the fact that they are both former champions, not that they're in their own elite category. Also, Sun and Moon famously glazes the crap out of Kanto, so what did you expect? And also sharing this tier with Blue and Trace is Peony. If you didn't know that Peony was once a champion, don't worry, it's kind of barely ever mentioned, as only his rare league card mentions the fact that he briefly held the title between Mustard and Leon's reigns, and he quickly quit after his brother Rose became the chairman. Now, Peony is clearly much more obsessed with adventuring than he is with training his Pokemon, as he's the only champion who's never fought with a full team of 6. And when you team up with him in the Galarian Star Tournament, he even jokes that he's not sure if he can keep up with a champ like you. Other than that, the main reason why Peony lands this low on the list is just the sheer lack of information on him. He still hasn't made an appearance in Pokémon Masters, nor the anime. He's probably the champion that we actually know the least about. And unfortunately, in the context of this video, knowledge is power. Our next tier is the Here for the Paycheck tier, and unfortunately, as much as I love this man as a character, I think Alder does have to go here. While Alder was once a fiercely strong trainer in the past, during the events of Pokemon Black and White, numerous characters remark on how Alder has softened in the years following his first Volcarona's death. Eventually, everyone's worst fears come to pass, as Alder does not beat the washed allegations and N arrives to defeat him at the Pokemon League. In the manga, he even does so without needing to use the legendary dragon, highlighting just how weak Alder has become. However, Alder can definitely still hold his own in battle, as even after handing off his title to Iris in Black 2 and White 2, Alder does still continue to compete in events like the Champions World Tournament. He may not be nearly as strong as he was during his peak, but he is a powerful trainer nonetheless. Also in this tier we have Geeta. Admittedly, Geeta is a bit difficult to power scale given how different the Paldea League is from other leagues. In Paldea, numerous trainers can hold the title of champion at the same time. It's a bit weird because Geeta is called the top champion who reigns above the other champions, yet to become a champion, you have to defeat Geeta. See how this doesn't really make any sense? And then, at the very end of the game, she says, "I am known as La Primera, but even when facing me in the final test of her champion assessment, Champion Nemona didn't reveal her full might." So Nemona already beat Geeta and became a champion, and still wasn't really trying? At this point, I have to think that Top Champion and La Primera just mean that she was the first Paldean champion, not the best. And to round this tier out, we have Wallace. Wallace is another very weird case of a champion. In Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's Delta episode, it's implied that Steven just picks him to fill in as champion because Steven wants to go out and travel again. He may be the strongest gym leader in Hoenn, but he doesn't really earn the title like Steven or others before him. In the anime, Wallace is actually introduced as the champion of Hoenn in the Diamond and Pearl series, but by the time XY started, Steven is now said to be the current champion of Hoenn, implying that he either defeated Wallace for the title or came back from traveling and Wallace relinquished it. When Ash meets Wallace again in Pokemon Journeys, Wallace himself confirms that he is now merely a gym leader. Though Ash actually can't even remember who he is and ends up defeating Wallace in a battle anyway, which I can't lie, is really funny. Wallace's arc in the manga is equally as funny, as he's in a romantic relationship with Winona, and although he does defeat the Pokemon League in this canon, he willingly turns down the role of champion to stay close to Winona, who still breaks up with him because she doesn't like the idea of constantly being around someone so much stronger than her. Dang, I just feel bad for this guy now. Ladies, or men, if you see him on Tinder, give him a good swipe. His self-esteem really needs it.
For Senor, press 5 now.
Regardless, while it's cool that Wallace is a capable trainer, he only ever holds the title of champion when he's asked to, and it's made pretty consistently clear that Steven is at least more powerful than he is. Next up are the Inexperienced Champions. These are the champions who have tremendous raw potential, but are still relatively new to their roles, and thus haven't had the time to build the lengthy resumes that the champions above them have. And in this tier, we have Nemona and Iris. Nemona we already mentioned for surpassing Geeta even when she wasn't really trying, so we know Nemona is incredibly strong. In fact, the anime actually treats her as the sole champion of Paldea, with Geeta only serving as the chairwoman now. At least, as far as we know. I don't believe the anime has ever referred to Geeta as a champion, and I even had Zakashi fact-check this one for me, so if it's wrong, it's his fault. And if I'm being honest, this is just a much better approach than the games take. Since Nemona is still relatively new to the Pokemon series, unfortunately there's not a whole lot of material out there that supports how she matches up against other champions, but she's clearly very talented at a very young age and has no problem beating her own regional champion with very little effort, which says a lot to me. Iris has also proven to be a significant improvement over the previous reigning champion, as she apparently defeats Alder with ease to take the title sometime between the events of Black and White and their sequels. Still, she does have a ways to go compared to other champions. In the anime, when Iris made it to the Masters 8 of the Pokemon World Championships, or World Coronation Series in the dub, yeah, I know, that sounds stupid, doesn't it? She was seeded 7th of the 8 trainers competing, only ranking above Ash. And her seed quickly proved to be accurate, as she was defeated by Cynthia, making her a first-round exit. Oof, bad luck at the draw there, bucko. Still, like Nemona, Iris' youth betrays just how talented she really is. And I'm sure that with time, she could easily give the champions in the tier above her a run for their money. Hey, it's me again. Just wanted to say that most of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, so I would really appreciate if you did. Thanks! Speaking of which, the next tier is high-ranking champs. These next few champions have proven themselves to be in a league of their own. Pun sort of intended, it just kind of wrote itself. Each of these champions have been around for a long time and have a long list of accomplishments to their names. The first of which would be Lance. Now hold up, much like the region of Johto itself, I feel like the Lance hate train has been in full effect online recently. Yes, the man uses all flying types instead of dragon types. Kinda cringe, but whatever. Yes, he has to use 3 Dragonites in one battle and Ice Beam obliterates his team. But make no mistake, despite the large amounts of Lance slander that I see, we have to remember just how incredible this guy really is. While he does lose to Blue in his first stint as an Elite Four member, in the 3-year time skip between Gen 1 and Gen 2, Lance becomes the undisputed champion of Kanto and Johto. Yeah, remember that little detail? He's a champion of 2 regions at the same time, so he presumably has to fend off double the amount of challengers. In various forms of media, Lance has also been portrayed as a government agent who is frequently sent to other regions to quell legendary Pokemon and other large threats. He battles against Groudon and Kyogre in the anime and battles the Creation Trio in the manga. Even though in the manga he seems to primarily be a villain, which is quite the character shakeup. In the Pokemon anime, they revealed that Lance had won the Champions Tournament in Driftvale City and made it to the Masters 8 bracket not just once, but twice. In the first bracket, he finished second only to Leon, but like Iris, he was a first-round exit in the second bracket. Though he dominated much of the battle, unfortunately the poor matchup against Diantha's Mega Gardevoir was too much for his team to overcome. Speaking of Diantha, while she too is often clowned for her lack of involvement in X and Y's plot, as well as her just being generally easy to defeat, she is by no means a pushover. She is one of the few champions to have mastered Mega Evolution, and obviously finished top 4 in the Masters 8 bracket after defeating Lance, but falling to Leon in round 2. Unfortunately, it was quite the wash, as Leon's Rillaboom nearly single-handedly swept her team. She also does assist with the Team Flare crisis in both the anime and manga, unlike the games, although she is defeated by Malva in the manga, who is supposed to be beneath her? Okay, look, there's no sugarcoating it. Diantha is definitely the worst in this tier, despite her victory over Lance in the Masters 8. The rest of her resume just isn't that good. And she has been shown to struggle against opponents who she doesn't have an outright advantage against. She does use both a Deontay and a Keldeo in Pokémon Masters, but I'd say that only counts for so much since that game gives out legendary Pokémon like candy. Still, she is an experienced champion and has been in the game long enough to earn this ranking, I would say. And lastly in this tier, we have Steven Stone, who again, if we're ranking within tiers, I would definitely say is the strongest of these 3. Like Lance, Steven is frequently shown to be a person of great importance who frequently helps out with legendary Pokemon crises. In the Mega Evolution specials, his Mega Metagross goes head-to-head with Mega Rayquaza, Primal Groudon, and Primal Kyogre. And in the manga, he battles against numerous other legendary and mythical Pokemon too. In Pokémon Masters, Steven is frequently referred to as one of the strongest trainers on Pasio, even among all the other champions. He also shows up in the anime's Masters 8 bracket, where he was unfortunately sacrificed to the writing so Ash Ketchum could advance. However, it is worth noting that he was seeded 3rd going into the tournament, and probably for good reason. Like Diantha, he has also mastered Mega Evolution. Steven has virtually done it all, and at the relatively young age of 25. In fact, the only thing keeping him out of the top tier, I would say, is his lack of results in battles against other champions. We're still not exactly sure how he would fare since we've only seen him battle against Ash Ketchum. Which of course brings us to the top tier, Pokémon Masters. Not the game, just the terminology. First up is a bit of a surprise pick, Mustard. In Sword and Shield, Mustard is said to have held the title of Pokemon Champion for 18 years. A record that nobody has touched since, not even Leon. However, like Alder, his battle prowess began to wane following the death of his partner Pokemon, and he ultimately retired after the league chairman suggested that he win a rigged match. After retiring from battles, he would go on to train future champions of the Galar region, including Leon, at the Isle of Armor. Despite a few off years in his career, Mustard has clearly rebounded in a big way. In Sword and Shield, he is still the highest level trainer in the game, boasting a level 80 Gigantamax Urshifu that he uses in the Galarian Star Cup. And speaking of which, he is the only champion in the core games to own a legendary Pokemon. None of that Pokemon Master Sync Pair stuff, this is a 100% bona fide catch. He may be mostly retired, but Mustard is still a legend in many respects. Up next, Cynthia. Cynthia is basically Steven Stone, with the results to back it up. She is often regarded as one of the strongest Pokemon trainers in every single canon. She is actually one of the only champions who canonically just EV trains her Pokemon. She literally has them all maxed out in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is honestly really cool. She assists in the Spear Pillar Crisis, at least in Platinum. She never quite throws hands like Steven Stone does, but hey, she was ready to at least. In the anime, she is quite accurately seeded second in the Masters 8 tournament, and does make it to the Final Four, where she does have to lose against Ash in order to progress the story. However, this loss was not in vain, as her 2 battles in the Masters 8 show that she is one of the only characters in the canon of Pokemon to ever master both Mega Evolution and Dynamax. In fact, I'm pretty sure aside from Ash and Roy, who are literally main characters in the show, no other trainer has ever been shown to master multiple gimmicks. While she does not use Z moves in her Alola region appearances, she does indeed possess both the Garchompite and the Lucarionite, which also makes her one of the only trainers to use multiple Mega Evolutions. She even forms a sync pair with Giratina in Pokémon Masters, which again, I'm only factoring in very lightly, but still, it happened. Point is, I don't think any champion has the lengthy resume that Cynthia does, and that also includes our next champion, who everybody saw coming, Leon. Let's be honest, Leon is basically just in this tier because he has to be. He may not have the same resume that Cynthia, Steven, or even Lance have, but we do know that he is Galar's #1 undefeated champion. While he may not have reigned for as long as Mustard, he is known for absolutely crushing his opponents. We saw this happen multiple times in the anime, as he appeared to defeat Lance, Raihan, Alan, and Diantha all without really breaking a sweat. It's also highly implied that he has been defending his role from numerous champions over the years. He also takes on Eternatus during the Darkest Day, and while he is unsuccessful in capturing it, dang dollar store Pokeballs, you can never trust those. It is shown in other media that he does eventually win Eternatus over, as he briefly controls it in the anime and forms a sync pair with it in Pokémon Masters. So yeah, while Leon may not seem as accomplished on paper as some other champions, bear in mind that he was literally created as the ultimate champion character. Like, his whole shtick is being the best of the best. I'm not saying he's better than Cynthia, but if you're mad he's up here, be mad at Game Freak, not me. But with all that being said, do you agree with my rankings? Let me know in the comment section down below. But don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoy, subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you guys next time.